You're welcome to episode number 64 of The Voices of Boyle. Today we dive into the inspiring journey of Mark Attwood and Gary Keeley, who are the visionaries behind Live 5D Health, which is Boyle's only wellness and healing centre. Florence and I sit down with them to explore the unexpected twists of fate that led them to Boyle and the moments of randomness that shaped their path. Their passion for health and wellness sparked the creation of a truly unique space, blending cutting-edge technology with ancient healing wisdom. From natural detoxification to the transformative power of structured water, Live 5D offers a holistic approach to well-being. In this episode, we uncover the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, red light therapy, and other treatments, along with the profound connection between mind, body, and spirit. Whether you're curious about alternative healing or simply looking for inspiration, this episode promises to enlighten and empower. So enjoy.
So welcome to the Voices of Boyle, Mark and Gary. Great to have you. Thank you both for your time.
Hello, how you doing, Flo?
Hey, thank you very much.
Great to have you. So I suppose we're going to, primarily the conversation today is going to be about Boyle's only wellness and healing centre, Live 5D. But I suppose let's take things back a little bit and introduce yourselves. What brought you to Boyle?
After you, Gary.
Well, actually, maybe after you, because you were actually more of a history
I'm the
of
old
Boyle than me. And then,
Yeah, well,
Ben.
it's quite a funny story, actually, because I was running a theatre company in Manchester in the 90s, and we cast a girl in a play, and that girl was the daughter of Marie Gretton, of the Gretton sisters fame from the moving stairs at the top of the hill there. And cut a long story short, 7 years later, she introduced me to the mother of my 5 children. And then both sets of parents moved from Manchester back to Ireland. And I was visiting Boyle since 2002. And then eventually moved here full time in 2017. And moved into a street, and 3 doors down, Gary moved in within a few weeks, I think, at the same time we moved there.
Yeah.
So you didn't know each other prior to that? Okay.
No, we met in the spool factory, and Gary was talking about crypto, and I'd done a bit of work in crypto, and we just sort of started talking about stuff, and, you know, he had a couple of young kids, and...
Yeah, well, I had one at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was so completely random for us.
Yeah.
I'm from Dublin. We were obviously living there, and then had to leave because our landlord passed away, and then we could not find anywhere in Dublin. It was like crazy. I think it's still like that now.
Yeah.
You go to look at a house and there's queues around the corner.
Yeah.
I actually was saying to people in the centre yesterday, they should pay you to live in Dublin now. They should be paid to work in kind of those jobs. But anyway, so we literally, because I was already had working from home, maybe 80%, had a few things going in Dublin, and my wife was on maternity leave still. She's a teacher. And so it was like, we don't need to be here. So let's try and, just live outside for a little while, see what it's like. Maybe the plan was 6 months, and it was like, finger on a map type thing.
Where you just choose a dot. Yeah.
House popped up.
So many people have said that's how they landed in Boyle.
It's crazy, yeah. It was, and it was like the house. It was in Travers Hill, and the view is beautiful. Lough Key was there, and it was a sunny. Like in the picture, it's sunny. I was like, that looks nice. And we were actually at a funeral in Abbey Leaks at the time, and we were driving home. I was like, just turn the car around and drive. Met the landlord, said yes. And then 2 days later, Mark and his kids are walking past. His kids were little at the time.
Yeah.
And we kind of said hello a few times, just waved. And then we met officially in the spool factory. And we both kind of had some kind of interest in cryptocurrency, alternative finance, and alternative everything.
Yeah.
And then the conversation started. Yeah. So we were kind of friends since then.
Okay, so then you became friends, and then what was the inspiration then to create
the centre that we have today?
Yeah.
Well, do you want the controversial version or the...
Give us the one you're
middle
most
ground.
comfortable with.
Well, how do I put this? I think I have to go back 20 odd years to when I was in intensive care in Stockport, in England, because I'd had a suspected heart event, and this was the night before 9/11. And my friend, a school friend, died in 9/11. And I woke up on the morning of 9/11, survived this heart issue, which wasn't actually a heart issue, but I was in intensive care, and the nurse the night before, I said to her, "Am I going to die?" And she said, "Yeah, probably." And I was like, well, that's not very cool, is it? And I woke up the next day, and it turned out it wasn't my heart. It was because I'd swum against the tide in Spain, and I'd loads of enzymes had been created because I nearly drowned, and they thought it was a heart. Anyway, I discharged myself from that hospital. I have a very healthy disregard for hospitals because they've killed lots of my relatives over the years, including my own father. And it just seems to be my life path. And I'd had this event, and I started researching then. This is in 2001, obviously, and I found out that hawthorn berry was extremely good for your heart, and that stopped my arrhythmia. And I thought, and that started a journey for me, because my ex-wife used to say I was a heart attack waiting to happen, because I was running a business in England, and I was enormous amounts of cortisol and a lot of alcohol, which goes with running a business. So it's very common with entrepreneurs, because I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years. And it was just really a journey that progressed, especially throughout the 2010s. And I'd ended up going on lots of different kind of retreats. And one of the things that changed my life for the better forever was going on a 7-day fast, which I thought was crazy. I remember driving down from Manchester to this place in Devon, and it was called Ham Farm. And I thought, that's ironic for a fasting retreat. And, I remember pulling into the car park and thinking, God, what am I doing? I'm going to drive back home. This is crazy. I'm going to miss my bacon and eggs. And but I stayed there for a week, and it was transformative. And I found out then that fasting is incredibly good for you, because your body just needs a rest. And then I found out, things such as calories counting and all of that is nonsense, right? Because what you eat is the calories from a steak is completely different from the same amount of calories from popcorn, for example. And the body doesn't need anywhere near as much food as we think. And then I got into the water, and I actually moved to Boyle for the first time for 6 months in 2014. When I did do that, we took a house for 6 months, and the first thing I'd already researched the fact that Ireland, despite being one of the wettest countries in the world, had the worst water in the world.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, the fluoride and the chlorine and all the other crap that's in it is shocking. And so I knew I had to so at that point, I got a reverse osmosis machine for the whole house, and that water was clean, but it was dead. And I didn't, it's just been a journey learning more and more and more about actually what makes us healthy, and how the immune system really works. And then, of course, there was a slightly large event that happened in 2020, and I was quite outspoken about that at the time. And that ended up with me touring America, and had 2 books out and a film out and all sorts of stuff. And I've been all over the world and run a lot of live events. And during that process, I have interviewed some of the greatest minds on the planet when it comes to health and healing. And Gary's got a background in physical training and health and healing. As you can see, he's like Superman over here. But we had a lot, and so had very different routes to get into the same knowledge. And what actually happened was I went and met an amazing woman in Oma called Vanita Nesta, who'd set up an oxygen clinic up there, and she'd set up hyperbaric oxygen. And I heard about this, so I drove up and met her, and I interviewed her, and she'd had an incredible reversal of health. She was basically crippled in her 40s, and she was fortunate to be able to afford hyperbaric oxygen therapy because her and her husband have a business. And I think back then, we're only talking about 3 or 4 years ago, there were only 2 places in Ireland where you could get hyperbaric oxygen. I think it was in Galway and in Dublin. It was quite expensive because they had these big chambers. But this new technology had come out, which were basically like these tents that blew up and delivered hyperbaric oxygen, not medical devices, but this is for people, at home or for clinics. And she had a couple up there and was getting amazing results at the time, because I think it was the Irish Times that did an article on her talking about how effective hyperbaric oxygen was for long COVID. And this had made the papers in 22, I think it was. And because of that, I got a friend of mine in Boyle just dropped dead at the age of 38, which kind of triggered me. And I got I got a kind of message from God that said, you need to do this now. You need to start opening, healing people now, not waiting, but healing people now. And I had a chat with Gary and I said, I think we could do this. What do you think? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And that's why we started with the hyperbaric oxygen. And the funny thing is, the hyperbaric oxygen is a 370-year-old technology. It was a physicist in the UK,
Reverend Nathaniel
Henshaw, yeah, who first came up with this idea. And most people know it as the thing to stop the divers getting the bends. When you come up from a diving mission, you go
compression sickness.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's what it's mainly been known for over the last century, but it's old technology, and it's oxygen, right? It's the most important nutrient that your body needs, and it cleans out the cells and it feeds the cells. And it's even Mel Gibson was talking about it on Joe Rogan last week.
Right, yeah.
PTSD,
and he had 40 sessions in the hyperbaric, and he had fish oil, and he was talking about all sorts of things which were
methylene blue,
amazing. That this is in the consciousness now.
Okay.
So that's what's going on. The people are starting to realize, hang on, why wouldn't oxygen be good for me? Because there's no reason at all. And it's not like it cures anything. What it does is cleanse and nourish you to the point where the body heals itself. And everything that we've added to the healing center ever since has been along the same lines. Everything we've got works with nature, replicates nature, accelerates what the body needs to cleanse, detox, and nourish it to speed up its own recovery. Because people are not sick, they're toxic. Okay, and that's like a critical understanding that we both have, and that's what we work on. We don't say we cure anything. We've just got machines that are there, and supplements and other things, and knowledge that we've accumulated together from different directions over 30, 40 years between us. And we just thought, well, let's put all of this into a place where people can become well and let their bodies look after it, because the body is extremely intelligent. You just got to give it the right circumstances to, and this is not a conspiracy. This is a fact. You cannot avoid being toxic in this world just from the particulates from the tires on the road. These are micro particulates that we're breathing in all day, and nobody can argue with that. That's just a fact. So we are extremely over toxic. And the water, when people walk into the clinic, the first question, if I'm there, we try to ask everybody is, what water are you drinking? Because if we can get people drinking clean, structured, living water with salt, we've solved half the problem. But people know that the water's bad in Ireland, but then they're bathing in it, and your skin is your biggest organ. So there's a lot of educational side to this. But the machines that we've got, which is hyperbaric oxygen, red light therapy, UV light, which is actually good for you in the right dose. We've got sound and light therapy, brain entrainment therapy. We've got a PEMF, which is pulse electromagnetic field therapy, which is one of my favorites, actually. You only need 12 minutes in it, and it's it strengthens the walls of your cell. The red light activates the mitochondria, which is the engine of the cell. The oxygen feeds and cleanses the cell. You combine that with the right water, you're halfway there. Well, you're more than halfway there, actually. So that have I answered the question? I feel like I've rambled a little bit, but
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so you touched on a few of the different treatments you have in there, Mark. So what in the oxygen therapy is the basic kind of
I think
the
that's
main,
what brought you together.
that was the one that brought you together.
Well, me and Gary actually talked about healing centers for a few years, and Gary had a vision to build a big place, and
it's been in my consciousness for a very long time. And you know, a lot of people who come in and see us, like, that's their vision as well. And I think as a collective vision, it's something that's been there in the zeitgeist for a very, very long time. But now it's like starting to come to fruition, and people are seeing how it works. And it's an alternative system, although all these technologies are actually part of ancient wisdom, ancient traditions. Like, if you think about if you strip down the center, what are the things that most humans need? And it's sunlight, number one. Okay, it's the electromagnetic force from the earth, from Gaia, that gives off the Schumann resonance. That's what we have to calibrate with. It's clean air, and it's pure water. That's all the centre does. But because of as Mark said, the toxicity in the environment has been so much more in the last 50 years, really, it's just ramped up to a ridiculous degree. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of chemicals just poured into the water supply. The hormones are recycled in the municipal water supply as well. There's all the like brake dust and rubber on the roads. It's just ubiquitous, so you could look at it whatever way you want, but we have been poisoned one way or another. And like, you're not sick, you're toxic. And age and all those markers of debilitation and aging and degeneration are from buildup of toxins. So when you remove those, like you can have one 50-year-old and he's, doing triathletes and he's in the gym and he's running every day and he's like, whatever, I say 45. Another guy, 45, he's just massive, sitting on the couch, can't move. So like that idea of chronological age is an illusion. It's not real, because if it's different for one, if it can actually be demonstrably different for two people, then it doesn't exist in the same way people think it is. So all the centre does is enhance what nature does, and because we are more toxic, you need a little bit more on this side, on the healing side, to pull yourself back to homeostasis. And then you drop into, like, I would love just to be treating well people.
Explain homeostasis, because I know a lot of people don't know what that word means.
Well, that just homeostasis just means being able to maintain the same level. So if you can maintain your physiology, peak performance for humans is between kind of 22, 35 years old, depending on what kind of sport or what you are. There's like certain athletes that can do, like golfers can play really good until they're in 40s. But if you're talking about, elite soccer or something like that, it's kind of late 20s, maybe mid 20s, right? But if you can, as a male, say, for example, maintain your age at around 28, 32, that's really the sweet spot.
Your biological age.
Your biological age,
at
that, obviously,
yeah.
So there's guys investing huge money in the States, like it's like millions per year on longevity, and they've kind of slowed their aging. There's biomarkers you can check, like there's different the main, I think the methylation clock's kind of one you can check in terms of how old you are. But the guy Brian Johnson has slowed it down to 0.51. So for every year that passes chronologically, he's aging 0.51 biologically. So he's now projected he'll live to 120 quite comfortably with that.
That's what they reckon humans should be living as well.
Well, 800 actually.
You said something the other day, I was like going, okay, that's a little higher than I thought. But
Yeah.
No, I mean, really, it's just toxicity that is killing us off too quickly.
It's mind, and it's a shared belief.
I mean, my mum, for example, has been telling me since she was 35 that she was old, and I've been telling her since she was 30. No, you're not. And it's kind of a program. Well, it's not kind of a program. It is a program. You're as old as you feel, and you're as old as you think you are. And if you can, this is not the Catholic Church. We're not telling people you can't have alcohol and you can't do this and you can't have sex and you must. It's not that. It's just understanding this really simple concept that every cell in your body is a battery, okay? And every cell in most people's bodies is a depleted battery. They've not got, I interviewed a guy called Ian Clark who runs a company called Activation Products in Canada, and the reason I interviewed him is because he's 66 years old at the moment, and when he was 49, he had a biological age of 82. And his doctor said, you're going to die within a year if you don't do something about this. So he just dropped everything and went into this to the nth degree. And he's now 66 with a biological age of about 30. And it's extraordinary. And it's simple stuff. And it's all in nature. We have everything we need in nature. And the machines that we've got, as I was saying earlier, they're kind of like a bridge for people. Because if you can get people, and there's a spiritual aspect to this as well, if you can get people to the point where the toxins are removed, the walls of the cell are strengthened, which is what PEMF does, the mitochondria is activated, which is what the red light does, and detoxed and cleansed, and then you've got people drinking the right water, bathing in the right water, and there's a lot of other things we've done as well. I mean, we've installed our centre in Bridge Street in Boyle has the best water in Ireland, in it, going through the pipes of the whole building. We've got a device. Do you want to explain that device?
Yeah, that'd be interesting actually.
Yeah,
because
so
it's pretty extraordinary.
The water coming in when we started it's like awful. I mean, the smell of chlorine off it is just shocking. It's dead water and it's toxic. So there's a very, very high end water filtration system in there. So like a very big carbon sink, huge carbon filter runs through. So that gets 99.9% of the toxins out, and then it runs through a thing called a water spiralizer, which is an industrial vortex. And so it runs through magnets, so it kind of deprograms it. Then it runs through the vortex, which is an implosion technology, and that actually helps to bind even more of the nasties in it and change the frequency. And this is scientific, but also some esoteric stuff in there too. But they've basically it runs through a copper coil. Copper has been used for millennia to enhance the properties of water and energy fields. And then it's reprogrammed with the frequency of 100 pristine springs from around Europe.
You should taste. You've tasted it, haven't you?
Yeah. And you tasted it and we gave it to you. So
it really is.
Yeah.
The difference is.
So we give members free water. They can come and fill up their bottles and take that home and drink it. And it's just, and then if you add Celtic sea salt, which is the best salt,
Yeah, it is.
one of the best salts on earth. We're taking delivery of a ton of it from France quite soon, and
we bought some the other day.
Yeah. I mean, you should never drink water without salt.
Again, it's something we've been programmed to think salt is bad.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much everything they've told us about food is wrong.
And we touched on this before the podcast, but we like just drinking water just mindlessly, dead water is killing people.
Yeah.
You don't want too much water. Like your body tells you.
Yeah, that's what
the big thing with society in terms of being toxic as well. It disrupts hormones and it disrupts brain function. And when you're stressed and toxic, you're also easily controlled and you're easily manipulated. And so whatever you're told to do, you do. And that's the people's problem is their health sovereignty. And it bleeds into every aspect of their life. But if you're not actually responsible for the decisions you make with health, then you're going to do what everyone else does. And if you look around, are people thriving? Are they in shape? Are they high energy levels? Are they optimistic? Are they walking around smiling? Right. So if they're not, then what they're being told is not accurate. It's not correct. It's not human optimized. So you got to be thinking critically, and you've got to take that control back for yourself. And so this idea of walking around drinking 8 glasses or 2 liters of tap water, like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it before. Like you're electromagnetic, so the PMF harmonizes your electromagnetic system, but that's how your body communicates. And what's the most important thing in your body for that is electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you drink water that's depleted in electrolytes, then your body has to leach that from your cells to deal with the water that's sitting in your stomach. That's aging because it's stressful. So the more inputs that you can have in your environment, so the food, the water that goes in that's easily assimilated, then the less stress is on your body and the more you will thrive. But if you put in sugar, it's just like poison. Your body can have it's 0.5 grams of sugar in your blood at any one time. More than that, it's costing you a huge amount of energy just to get it out. Dump it in the fat cells where it's safe. Same with toxins. Most people who are overweight, it's actually not because they overeat, it's because
it's toxic.
They're toxins. And when they're bound to the fat, they're safe and they're not harming you. So you're like, that's why people have this inflammation, and inflammation is also the weight. So electrolytes so super important. So anytime you drink water, you should only drink when you're thirsty, first of all. But when you do consume it, it needs to be supercharged. And that's really what we're kind of trying to inform and educate. And
because it's heartbreaking. I've got teenagers here and they go to the gym, and stopping them drinking those bloody energy drinks is really hard. Because all their mates drink it. I found another bottle in my son's room this morning. I was like, I'm really working hard on him. I said, we've got the best water in the world here. What are you doing? Water's boring. But, it makes such a difference. If we can get the kids drinking this stuff, it would change everything, But there's a lot of things that we're doing here. There's not just, we've got visitors from all over. We're already a tourist attraction for Boyle.
I was going to say that, yeah.
We've brought in, there's people coming from all over the world to see us and to come in. And we're starting retreats this year as well. So we're going to be, we've already brought in hundreds of thousands of euros to Boyle for people going in the B&Bs and using the pubs and the cafes and everything else. So we're very proud of that. And we also we're doing some groundbreaking things. So the thing with the water that we've got, the spiralizer, that's the only one in certainly in Britain or Ireland at the moment. I mean, there might be a few.
There's probably a couple in Britain, but
yeah,
not,
it might be a couple. There's there's the first one in Ireland, definitely. The thing that you see in front of me, this you can hear these balls. I'm rattling my balls for you, Carlo. I don't do that for everybody. These are called somatids, right? Which creates chi, energy into the water, which is, if I can read this, it's H3O2, which is the third state of water.
Yeah, I was going to ask
easy
you about
water,
that.
easy water,
Easy water. So
Right.
you've been into the centre, and we've actually taken the powdered version of this and mixed it with Michael over the road and Taylor's, mix it in the paint for us, and we're building a spa in the large area that is next to where we currently are over the next 3 months, which is going to have a dry sauna, and Gary will tell you why we're doing that instead of a red light sauna. We've got the steam room that we're building is going to have this water in it. It's be the first one in the world that we know of.
Yeah, that's
so it's going to have living. Because if you go to the steam room in a normal leisure centre, you're impregnating yourself with chlorine, fluoride, and all the other shit. It's actually killing you. So we're
the majority of spas in the world are toxic.
They're terrible.
I mean, look, they put all those creams on you, the smell, the scents they burn,
the candle.
like people are paying crazy money to actually kind of get subtly poisoned.
To get poisoned. It's not even subtle, And then we're getting a bath built with a lot of these balls in later in the year.
There'll be 150 kg of those balls in this bath.
And in Korea, you go into one of those baths crippled and you walk out of them. So we're the first ones in Europe to have this stuff coming in. Also, if anybody listening to this wants to go on YouTube and look up Gary Brecker, Superhuman Protocol, right? Which is
we came across him recently, the Brecker Protocol.
Yeah, Brecker's been
30 or something, is that it, or something like that?
Well, there's lots of different, but there's one called the Superhuman Protocol, which involves red light therapy, PEMF, and oxygen, hyperbaric oxygen, or exercise with oxygen. We're the only ones in Ireland with all of that under one roof.
Yeah,
we and it's the effects of it are beautiful to see. I mean, there was a guy in yesterday who's trying to avoid a knee operation. He lives in Sligo, and he's 76. Oh my God, the difference in him in a few weeks. Yeah, because I see him once a week. He comes in twice a week, but I see him once a week. And just the difference with him this week compared to last week, it's unbelievable. And he's got so much more energy. He looks 10 years younger. He's got, and he's smiling, and he's over the moon with it. And that's the beauty of this. I was walking through Boyle the other day, and a woman ran up to me and said, thank you. And I went, oh, what for? She goes, I can walk again. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Because she had sciatica and had booked a holiday to Portugal and was like really upset because she was in so much pain. She knew she couldn't walk up and down the steps in Lisbon, came to see us 2 sessions. And she said, I've been running around the hills of Longford for the last week. It's amazing.
And what would she have used for them sessions? Would it have been the
same things, the oxygen, the red light, the PEMF,
the superhuman protocol thing?
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. And it's just really simple. It's not rocket science, actually. It's just that, not many people have got these things. But they're popping up. I mean, we've also had nearly 600 franchise inquiries from around the world, which has been overwhelming.
Amazing.
In fact, we've held them all off because we're so busy building it up and having the right people in the place. We built a shop before Christmas because we'd realised that store. Sorry. I mean, it's a members only club. It's not, you can come and join it. It's not, but it's private. It's not. You can't just walk in off the street. And we built that because there's so many things that people actually need to just have at home, like the right machinery to have clean water, for example, and the right supplements for detox, and simple things like curcumin and nattokinase and bromelain and magnesium oxide and nanoclay. These things are incredibly easy and powerful and natural ways of getting things out of the system.
There's so much in the
bad things out of the system.
You have, there's so much, because even the other day when we were in, we'd been using colloidal silver DMSO for 5-6 years, but just even to see that available rather than having to order it on Boyle, I'd be like, things are really changing. To see that, it's great.
Well, we hope so, and it's all to do with consciousness as well. The water itself is conscious. And anybody listening to this going, what's he talking about? Well, go and look up Masaru Emoto, EMOTO, water. If you type that into Google, you'll see there was this Japanese scientist who took pictures of water. What he would do is put water in a jar, and then he would put words on it or play music to it that were full of hate or love. And when you put hate towards water, he would then take photos of the water in a crystalline, in a frozen state, and a perfectly harmonious piece of water looks like a snowflake. It's beautiful. It's got all that beautiful structure, geometric structure. And when you put hate, play a Hitler speech or some Metallica or something to it, and then it withers and goes brown and dies and crumbles. It's horrible. And we're 90% water. Nobody knows the exact percentage, but we're a lot of of water. So you've got it, and it's also the intention behind what you're saying is the key to it. And the water that most people are drinking from the taps has been through hundreds of people, and it's got their memories, it's got their trauma in it. So
you never think of it that way, but it is, because it's all been recycled all the
because
time.
water has a memory. What's the name of that woman in New Zealand who takes pictures of the water? I can't remember. Vader Austin. Vader Austin is worth looking up as well. VDA Austin, AUSTIN. Okay. And she does amazing. She takes photographs of water, and she will do things like.
It's not just her. Anyone can. Anybody could do this to see
anybody
it.
could do this.
Yeah. And literally ask it questions. You get this kind of slim, half mil Petri dish, put it in the freezer, take it out 10 minutes later, and there's an answer for you on the water.
She does things like put the word marriage in
love,
or love, and then there'll be a picture of a wedding ring in the water, because the water has a consciousness. We have a consciousness. So water's fundamental, but cleansing the cells and strengthening the cells is what we're about, and just enabling people to get more in touch with their own innate healing abilities, because we can heal ourselves. This is why the placebo effect has been proven for over a century to work. You give people a sugar pill, but they believe it's a medicine. It works. It does better than the medicine does. Yeah. Why is that? Because they believe it.
And disregarded in every medical trial. It's like, just common sense is like, that's the thing to focus on, not the other thing.
Yeah.
This is
something is working.
This kind of 10 to 30% effect happens on every clinical trial, regardless of what the ailment is they're going after, but it's consistent throughout history. So there's something there. Like, that's the thing they should focus on. And obviously, the nocebo then is just as powerful. So placebo is a benefit that the body will respond to, but it's conscious, it's mind. The nocebo is, I'm sorry, you've got cancer, you've got 3 months to live. 3 months later.
Gone.
Yeah, and that's a story that repeats over and over.
What a thing
to
say
again.
to somebody.
Yeah.
Because it is all mind, and ultimately, with the center, it's what they agree to themselves, and are they actually open to allowing their body to heal? Because people like the theater of it, and they like the experiential, the oxygen firing up and the red light coming on. These do have a physical effect. But if your consciousness is closed to it, if you're shut down, it's very limited what it can do. It can certainly help. It'll give you a break, but you've got to open your mind to the idea that you're the one.
Well, there's a great example of that, actually, because we've got the only Orinoco healing pod in Ireland that's available.
You tried that. That was the one you tried.
Yeah, you sat in it, didn't you?
You found it amazing.
Yeah, now this is not plugged into anything. No. It's just a chair in the middle of 3 sticks.
Yeah, that's it.
And at the top of each stick is the photonic light of the sun captured in salt water with copper. And those 3 sticks between them create a life force energy field. Now, this is based on the work of an Iranian nuclear physicist called M.T. Kesh, who open-sourced this idea 20-odd years ago. And some people we know in the UK spent years perfecting this and getting it out there, and we decided to get it. I mean, it's the wu-wei thing, right, as opposed to the oxygen. But you set an intention and sit in that chair, and it has incredible effects on some people. Some people will see their dead relatives. Some people's 5-year wrist injury will be healed in half an hour. Other people get nothing from it at all. And it's all to do with their level of consciousness, because it interacts with your energy field and helps you, and it enhances whatever you're going in with your intention. If you go in with a positive intention, it enhances it and helps you, because we're magical beings at the end of the day. So that's there for anybody that. And what's funny is some people come in for the hyperbaric and go, "What's that?" And they go in that, and now they only want to go in that.
yeah.
And they don't know what it is or how it works. And they're like, where's this plugged in? It's not. It's like,
Yeah.
and you sit. And also, we're looking out over the beautiful Boyle River. And I said earlier, like, the hyperbaric oxygen is like a bridge.
Yes.
Right? And then somebody had to point out to us when we found the place, you're on Bridge Street and there's a bridge out the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
It's a lovely location, actually.
Yeah.
The view out there on Frybrook and the river is fab.
Yeah, we're very lucky that Michael and Tom built that building and that space was available. And
the river itself is cleansing.
The
river moving water. That's the thing, so and that removes energy and helps to cleanse the whole place.
So then, with the spa that you're building, you reckon it'll be built by the summer? Is it?
No, by April.
Oh, really? Okay, that quick. So you're going to have ozone water in.
Yeah,
mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be not ozone water specifically, but it's so what it would be is coherent, energized.
No, that's the cold water bath has got ozone. I think that's what Carlo's talking
maybe
about.
that's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a cold the cold plunge following this. So this is what we're talking about in terms of like the maintenance and treating. Ideally, most of your members are super healthy and looking just to maintain and boost that level. And the reason why we're doing the dry sauna is because that's the one that's been researched for the longest time. Like it's part of the culture in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, and there's a massive amount of actual scientific. Anyone go on PubMed and look at cold shock, heat shock protein research, and essentially dry sauna 3 times a week, all-cause mortality. That means your chance of you dying from anything reduces by 30%.
Wow!
Just from 3 dry saunas.
Yeah.
And you say dry sauna, Gary. That's
the old traditional wood and coals.
So we've used and we have an infrared sauna here.
Yeah, I've got one at home.
Yeah,
they're amazing. They're amazing.
They are.
Gary's got one.
Yeah, but there was a lot of studies done on infrared as being beneficial as well.
Yeah,
not as maybe beneficial as dry saunas, but definitely if you could have an infrared as opposed to no sauna.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've got just like the most powerful red light bed in Ireland.
So you're having
which is 5 frequencies, which is 3 red light and 2 infrared. So we don't need the sauna because someone in 12 minutes can get an unbelievable
and
high radiance.
You don't have to be ill to use this stuff. I mean, the red light in America is sold for weight loss.
Yeah,
and anti-aging.
Because it doesn't just activate the mitochondria.
Huge cosmetic benefits of it.
It stimulates collagen. So,
it's a big thing now in the last year in the beauty industry.
It's huge.
They're all buying the face.
Beauty's all going to go natural again, because it's so toxic. Clothing's toxic. Pharmaceuticals are toxic. All the makeup and cosmetics.
I mean, I want to get all the teenage girls in Boyle off that bloody
an aftershave,
fake sun thing that they put on.
Hopefully, in like 10 years' time,
oh my God,
to Boyle and say, what are these people doing?
Well, why not?
They're all so young.
Yeah,
why not?
Just getting rid of all those toxins.
And all the sports people listening to it, come in. Your performance,
for recovery,
not just for performance.
Performance,
it will improve.
Yeah,
just
There's
changing
so
my
many
water
benefits for so many people, literally everybody. And just on that note, guys, do you see people's attitude changing towards kind of the more natural treatments? I think they are.
Well, I think that natural treatments are. Everyone understands it. Like we've had so many people come in, and they credit their health to growing up on farms in the country. So many of the older men, and we have a lot more women coming in, but women in their kind of 65 to 75, and they're like, they drank the raw milk, they had all the vegetables in the house, they were self-sufficient. That's what gave them their vitality and allowed them to thrive in life. And it's the thing that we're passionate about is trying to make sure the kids get the same chance because they don't now.
Mm-hmm.
So like now you have all the illnesses in childhood that didn't exist 30 or 40 years ago, and that's because of a thing called organ reserve. Normally when you're born, your organs have a certain amount of nutrients, minerals, and vitality, energetic vitality that you get that's passed on. That's why kids can regenerate very fast. They never get tired. They should be vibrant and healthy. But because of 2 generations now of toxicity, kids are born with no organ reserve. And so they pick up like diabetes and cognitive function impairment and all these different things associated around that much earlier.
And the phones and the EMF and
the intolerances and the skin issues and the and all the whole litany of things that you're seeing that weren't really, even when we were kids, you didn't see as much.
No.
And because there's no nutrients in the food and they're being bombarded by different toxins, whether it's the signals or whether it's, from food and just like the nanoparticulates that are everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's why you've got a lot of work to do to bring them back. But it's possible, and the amazing thing is that the technologies and just the life practices exist now to get that into the mindset. And just to get back to that point, people intuitively understand this. So water's a great one because you can just say that, and nobody makes an exception. I know the pipes are lead. I know they go in under cover of darkness.
Well, Flo just drank some of this
to pour fluoride into the water supply at nighttime.
Yeah.
Buckets of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone does notice and understands. And so when you talk about just the basic things about detox, people get it.
Yeah.
And people know about all the all the remedies and things that existed, the grandmother's little recipes of things.
The little
they get it.
press, the little cabinet with all the
ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
Ancient wisdom.
And that all comes from, much older. That's carried through in the oral tradition of ancient wisdom and herbology that existed very, very strongly in Ireland. So people know this and they do accept it. So and where they were maybe very programmed by modern culture, they're definitely less so now.
I think so too.
And you're seeing that. And the conversations, that's the thing about the centre, is like, the magic of it is
you
the
can't
conversations
go in
people
for
have
5
in there.
minutes.
Yeah. I feel like everyone should just go in and just get that feel good factor and listen to these stories and what people are doing.
Yeah.
It is really changing, especially when you see in a small town like this, the west of Ireland.
Well, it's kind of special. I think Boyle's a very special place with an amazing energy. You've got intersection of 2 ley lines. You've got stories of portals. You had Betty Mailer here with the UFO Society, which I was deeply connected to because I've seen the ships and elementals my whole life, especially since I moved to Boyle. So I think it's a very, very special, powerful place. And
but it draws in energy that's good and bad.
Good
the amount of it was always an intense battleground as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So this is a center of high energy, draws both in, and then it comes back to the people to ultimately decide what's going to win. And to be honest, in Boyle, the dark side has been winning for the last while, and I know for sure we're here to transmute that and to
we do feel like
it.
we're on a mission. We didn't do this to make money. We did it once. We literally want to heal people and put our hands out over the bridge and help them. And even like when you drank some of that water flow earlier, I mean, your response just makes me super happy because
there's such a difference.
Yeah, well, just bringing stuff like that to people it's a real gift. It's a real privilege.
And do you think, guys, the progress has been slow from, an educational point of view and trying to get people aware of what they have on their doorstep here in Boyle?
And the power they have within
and the power
themselves.
that's exactly.
Well, this is where the likes of RFK Jr. are really helping, because he, when he joined Trump's thing last year and he came out with his list of things, right? But maybe a lot of people aren't aware of this because it wouldn't be reported in mainstream media. But, this is Bobby Kennedy's son, who's been fighting for clean water, for less vaccines for years and years and years and years. And he came out with a list of things saying, I'm going to bring these into America because America's sick. Everywhere's sick, but America in particular is not good.
No.
So, and one of those things was hyperbaric oxygen therapy in his list. And the same with Mel Gibson last week. Hundreds of millions of people are now aware of that therapy that weren't aware of it before. And that's helping enormously. But we do have an uphill struggle in terms of getting people to the point where they understand what it can actually do for them. And people cling back to the side of the swimming pool. That's the analogy I use because we're heavily programmed to go and get a pill for something, but these pills don't cure anything. They just hide the symptoms.
Yeah,
and we're not fighting that system at all. We're just saying we've built an alternative. when you're ready, we're here. Because you can't force anybody to do anything. We're not here to force anybody to do anything. We're just providing the things that we've researched and used over many years ourselves for the benefit of everybody everywhere, really. And that's why, the majority of our clients are coming from all over Ireland. They're not coming from Boyle.
Yeah.
And we've had people from Australia, New Zealand, Europe, America.
That far?
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Just to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
They can't believe it. It's and that's why it's a massive, massive privilege for us to do it. And having a partner. I mean, me and Gary are like we're different people, but we bring different things to the table.
You need that.
Well, it's been amazing, because I've been in business for 35 years in various businesses, and just having somebody who's aligned with the big picture and brings different skills to the table is a wonderful thing. And and the other thing is we've attracted amazing people into it who are, working with us, and they have a deep passion for what we're doing. And that's also, I call it 5D business. It's not a business for making money. Although in the world that we're living, it has to function,
Of course.
and it has to look after people. But the motivations are different. Whereas all the businesses I ever did in the past was all about profit and loss. This is about, are we actually making a difference to people? And we'd love more people from Boyle to come in and just experience it. This is one of the reasons why we built the sauna. Because the idea of having a sauna and a steam room and a cold plunge bath in the middle of town overlooking the river.
Oh, it appeals to everyone.
Who doesn't want? I mean, I know there's a great sauna down at Lough Key now, and that's great. I want to see more. The sauna is a growth industry in Ireland.
Right on the lake, so it has its own purpose there as well.
Yeah, which is great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and you've got that great one at Ross's Point, and they're everywhere, and I love that. But this one's going to look like a luxury spa, going to feel like a luxury spa, but it's right in the middle of Boyle.
Yes.
And beyond that, the water.
Yeah.
And beyond that, this stuff is in the walls.
Yes.
Did I tell you that earlier? I
You
can't
did,
remember.
yeah, that the powder form is in.
Yeah, so just being in the building is going to heal you.
Yeah.
And we're building a much bigger reception area. So as you've been in already, you have to go into the corridor to talk because it's a little bit cramped, but we're going to have a much bigger area for people to sit and chat and relax. And we're building a chill out area as well, so people.
And the gym as well. That you touched on the gym aspect, that you're going to have kind of like a high tech gym, more for functional kind of recovery. Is it?
Yeah, well, I was actually trying to squeeze it in to where the current development is, but there just wasn't the space for it. But I would have had to compromise quite a lot on what you want to put in. But still, for people, say for example, like people who like one thing, like I said, the basic things are, your stress, your sleep, your water, detox, nutrition. But the other thing is movement. Like, the majority of people we're finding who come in don't do enough. They don't lift anything heavy. And, the number one cause of aging then is sarcopenia, so is muscle loss. And I think it's like the third biggest killer in the world is. For number one is between cancer and heart disease, top two. After that, it's falling. And it's not that you die from this fall, but it's multiple falls as you age. And every time you fall and you're out of action for 3 or 4 months, 6 months, you lose a huge amount of function, and then you fall again. And it's like the third or fourth time.
That's it.
It's never decreasing.
Because once you stop moving your body, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's a cliche, but it's true. And so you've got to stay active. And not enough people put their body through those hormetic stresses that are important to maintain and to get the homeostasis in terms of muscle and hormones. You sit for more than half an hour, your glutes shut off, and your growth hormone drops. So, a big tip is just every kind of 30 minutes, get up and move around, do a few squats, walk up and down those stairs, whatever. So I saw exercise as a treatment, and we were going to plug them into kind of doing a 15-minute circuit. And you do each big muscle group, basically do 2 pushes, 2 pulls, and a leg exercise, compound leg exercise. But now, before Christmas, I just did the deal with the landlord to take all the space in the front. So we've pretty much now got that whole entire first floor of that building. So I'll be able to put in a really beautiful gym in there once the development of the spa is finished. And then you can do 1 time a week, 15 minutes. That's all you have to do. But now I have the space that if you want to do more and do some functional stuff, and I like training, so people do like that. So we'll have an actual fully operational gym at some point this year as well.
Brilliant.
But then and then it's like an option, so you can choose like your package. You can come in and you can use a sauna, steam room, and then you can use the gym once a week, and that's a specific package that you have.
Are you spiritually protected? Are you wearing the armor of God? Are you prepared against the principalities of darkness that currently wreak havoc in our world? Spiritual warfare is a very real thing. Weapons of Mass Protection is the explosive and practical 5-star best-selling book from authors Abby Wynn and Mark Attwood, who both agree that humanity is in the midst of the biggest spiritual awakening in human history. If you feel like things ain't what they seem, if you feel you are under attack, get your weapons ready now. Weapons of Mass Protection. Practical tools for spiritual warfare. Out now.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Gary, like for people that are listening from Boyle and they haven't been in, with all these new additions, the sauna, the ice bath, the gym, like people are going to naturally come in. But say for now, before that happens, how does it work? So I go in, I'm stressed,
First thing
sleep.
to do is go to live5dhealth.com
Okay.
and fill out the consultation. There's a button there, free consultation, and then we will contact you and have a discussion with you and then book you in. We can't do it any other way.
Yeah.
Because you can't, if you just turn up, we've got people booked in all week. We have to slot people into the right spots based upon what their issues are as well, because not everybody needs all of these things and some people need a lot more than they realize. So that's the way to do it, is go on the website first.
Perfect. And then you contact the person and basically put together a little package based on
it's a protocol is essentially what they would get then. Yeah.
I mean, we got people that are desperately ill. And people who just want to maintain themselves, and other people who just want to look and feel better, and we cater for all of that. But you have to, we need to know where you're at. You can't just rock up and say, "I'll go in the oxygen for now." And that's another thing I should say. If you're listening to this and thinking, "Oh, I'll go and try it," no, don't. You can't just come and try it, because it's not going to do anything for you. Very few people are going to get anything spectacular from one hyperbaric.
Although it does happen.
It does happen. But the thing is, you have to do your own research.
Yeah.
And that's what I said earlier about, I've got this drive to heal everybody from everything, right? Including myself. And I've been on a massive healing journey myself, and I'm still not perfect, but I'm certainly going in the right direction. And that's the point. There's no judgments in this place. And it's all positive. But for all of the treatments that we've listed, anybody listening that doesn't know what they do, go and look them up. Mm-hmm. Go and do your own research. Look up the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen therapy and look on Google, but also look on other search engines like yandex.com, because you'll get different information. Because, information on a lot of these things is controlled, and that is an issue. But this is also why when people come in, we have books on the red light therapy, we have books on hyperbaric oxygen, we have books on PEMF, and people are welcome to either buy the books or borrow them, and a lot of the things that we have in there, we say, just take it, borrow it, and if it works, great, buy it. If it doesn't, bring it back, because our priority is healing. It's not, but the more education people can do before they get to us, the better. It's not, that we do have a sunbed, for example. You can come in and use it to get a tan, but you need to understand it.
Yeah. And
you need to understand it better, that actually if you do that UV light with the red light and then go on a vibration plate and then you're drinking the right water, wow. Suddenly, if your objective is to get a tan and feel good and look good for the beach, well, you could do it 10 times better with us than you can just go into a sunbed. But you need to do the research yourself. And that is really what we're about, empowering people to take responsibility for their own health and the way they look and feel. And we just happen to have put everything under one roof to make that easier for everybody. But they need to understand it as much as they can before they come in. So don't just think, I'll just go in and try it and then say, oh, it did nothing for me. Well, that's because you didn't really understand what it was that you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So that's what everyone needs to do. And
Everyone.
everyone that's listening. And with the new additions, it'll be amazing. Even if people just want to get the package to start with for the sauna and the ice bath and the steam room.
Well, everybody should try the Super U protocol at least 10 times. It's a game changer. And that we call it the Super U protocol. It's the red light therapy, the PEMF and the oxygen, because that has a profound effect on anybody. And then if you want to get really interesting, Gary's toy is the Roxiva.
Yeah.
We have to talk about this.
The Roxiva, I tried. You put me on that first market for 5 minutes, and then you come in, Gary, and says, I want to try a more dancey version of it. That was just amazing. So maybe can you explain?
Well, no. Let Flo explain what happened to you that night, because that's more interesting.
Okay, we'll explain what it is first.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Well, one of you.
Okay, yeah. Well, so it's two different technologies. So the Roxiva is basically light and sound. So it's a white LED that has frequencies and programs in it that's then synced to music. So you go on different journeys, and people can't believe that it's white light because when you go into it, then you get these fractal geometries, spiraling into the universe type thing. Yeah. Like a kaleidoscope type effect. But that's all in your brain. Creates that from the white light. And that's to do with brain entrainment. So when everyone comes in, we give them a 5-minute kind of fun, experiential one that runs through everything. But it is a bit more, high energy and a little intense because it's just fun. But it is more, as a tool, you use it for brain entrainment. So you can get into deep meditative states or very specific brainwaves frequencies instantly. Where if you want to meditate and you want to you want to drop from beta, which we are now, because that's talking and cognitive function and figuring things out, to alpha or to deeper ones, gamma or theta even, you can do that in there. Whereas you might not even ever be able to do a meditation. Some people can't. Yeah, but even like a trained meditator might take 20 minutes, half an hour to get into those states. You can get in there really quickly, and you're unbelievably present in that moment. You don't really think of anything else. You're just in that experience. But I was over at a conference in Vegas last year, Las Vegas, and I went on the sound table, and they are developed out of more to do with psychedelic research, and then there's holotropic breathing, because when psychedelics were banned, then people couldn't experience them. So Stanley Groff came up with the holotropic breathing to get you into that same state just endogenously. So the sound table can stimulate the feeling you get on a ketamine journey, which again has been used for a very long time, just to help people get out of their mind and get into their body. And in the sound table, there's 4,000 hertz transducers, and they basically will mimic. Well, they will resonate with the frequency of the music that you're playing. So you can use that singly with an eye mask on and go deep into a deep meditation, but I just plug both of them together so that you get the light, the sound, and the vibration. And there's a whole range. Everyone has to, experience it, but then going to find, a program or what you want to work on, and then you can really, we've only tapped the surface of what that's capable of.
Well, absolutely.
And it's only been there for 6 months. So when we have members who are coming all the time, then they can really explore. But it's an amazing sensation.
Yeah, but there's another side to this as well, because Gary brought that in, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But it's got a really, really powerful effect on anxiety and stress and depression. Now, we live in a country where the suicide rate, especially amongst young people, is way too high, right? And hyperbaric oxygen can help with this as well. So it's not just physical, it's mental, spiritual, and emotional that all of these things work on. And that is the only Roxiva, I think, in this country. But
is it?
Well,
yeah. I think
someone's got
some people might have them at home.
Yeah.
But it's certainly the only one that's hooked up to a sound bed, because Gary went, let's plug this in and plug this in. But you had an amazing experience on it, didn't you?
Yeah, so how did you feel, Carlo?
So I went in for the 5 minutes, and I put on the mic, the headphones, and you just said to me, your eyes will try and fight this because they're closed, and they'll try and fight the kind of, for me, it was almost like a feeling that I needed to get up, just to move around. but then you just said, just relax and let it overcome you.
Because it's an exercise in letting go.
Yeah, exactly.
Surrendering.
And there's something nice about that too, because we rarely do that.
Yeah, and
We're so
after the
busy all the
first
time.
30 seconds, my eyes were closed and I could see all these geometrical shapes, as you said, like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. It was like really strange. And that's what kind of buzzed me out at the start. I was like, I'd never experienced anything like this. But with the sound, the bed underneath, everything seemed in harmony. And it was only 5 minutes. And when you came in then, I was like, that was amazing.
Can I go back in?
You popped in then, Gary, and you says, here, I want to put you on this kind of more of a dance frequency one. And that started off really slow. But what I found then was that evening, at the back of my head, you know the way if your eye twitches and you get a little twitch in your eye?
Mhm.
Well, I felt that just kind of at the back of the head. And it was like almost, I felt like almost
something
your
was
brain was being
ignited.
stimulated.
Uh-huh.
But then that night, I had these, just before I was going to sleep, I was really relaxed and had these like really just random kind of visions, like just random scenes, like almost like an out of body experience, but I was totally present. Remember I was saying it to you, like could see all these pictures and scenes in my head, but I wasn't asleep. It was just a really deep sense of relaxation, which I had never had that experience before. So I can only put it down to what changed in the day that was different for Axiva. So that was my experience with it.
Mm.
You went on it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so Carla was like, came home on a complete high. He was like, I'm after doing this, I'm after that. And I was a bit taken back because like he's claustrophobic normally. And I was like, God, that sounds amazing. So when I went in, I put the headphones on, whatever. But for me, it was like I was underwater. And like I was just like lying down, but there was water above me, and there was rain coming down, and there was a grey sky, and it was like the rain, when it dropped on the water, it was creating all these different patterns.
Wow.
And I was like, I was totally present. I knew where I was. Like I could get up if I wanted. It's not like I was in a deep trance or anything, but I was so relaxed and present, and I was enjoying it. I was like, what's going to happen next? So anyway, these raindrops were falling, all these shapes and colours, and it was just really nice. But then halfway through, it's like the sun came out. So the grey sky was gone, but now it was like a really bright light that was coming in, and it was coming through the water onto me, and the rain stopped, but the patterns were still there in like a much more kind of they weren't as strong. They were just more floating around as opposed to being dropped down. So that was it, and it was like just a really nice experience. But then when Mark came in, he asked me what I saw or what I felt, and I told him. He's like, well, I had the anxiety program on.
Wow, okay.
So for me, that made total sense because there was a grey sky, and I had said all this to him before he even told me what program he had on. It was grey, and then the sun came out, and I was like, that makes sense.
Wow.
And then you went into the Orinoco and the red light.
Yeah.
What were they like?
So for the
Orinoco's.
Orinoco thing, I sat in the chair, and again, I was just like totally open to anything because I believe in tapping into what we have inside ourselves. But I went in with no expectations, nothing. I just set a little intention. But again, I just was totally relaxed looking out in the Boyle River. And I just closed my eyes, and I was in there for about 20 minutes, I'd say. But about 5 minutes in, I had like a coat on. So I started to feel like really warm down my back, especially the top of my neck. So I was like, oh, I'll take my coat off and just wrap it around me. So I was just sitting there, like if anyone looked in the window, they'd be like, what is she at? I was just sitting there with my hands on my knees like this, looking out at beside the river. And then I just felt this deep sense of relaxation where my chin nearly got heavy, and my chin had to get to the top of my chest. So slowly my head started to drop, like really controlled, like it wasn't at all forced or anything, just really controlled. Again, I could have stopped. It wasn't like I couldn't stop. But I was like, I'm just going to let this happen. So just my head dropped all the way down. My chin eventually reached the top of my chest. But then my shoulders, once that happened, my shoulders started to curve in to just this sense of deep relaxation. And my head down, my shoulders were curved. I looked like that woman in the ring eventually, like all curled over, but it was so relaxing. I just felt this deep sense. And I could have stayed there.
Yeah.
I could have stayed there for a long time.
And that's plugged into nothing.
And that's,
amazing.
That's just the pole.
Just the universe.
Just the energy field.
So there's two things I'd touch on there, like in terms of like what the centre can do. So, you know, people want to go start on a health journey, and the idea is, you know, they have to diet and you have to go to the gym, which both two kind of laborious things that we're programmed to kind of think are difficult. And they are. People don't really enjoy them. So what kind of defines your life is peak experiences. You know, you do a skydive or you go snowboarding, you have this amazing holiday with friends and family. And you can look back in your life and it's like, how many of those have you actually had? So if you can plug peak experiences, something that's completely out of the norm, completely gets you out of your normal life, into an experience of a wellness center, then it's something you can't wait to get to. And so, you know, you will get bored of maybe, you know, oxygen. Well, actually, oxygen's great because it changed brainwaves and you can meditate deeply in there. But certainly kind of going to the gym and even saunas and steam rooms will become normal after a while. You'll keep doing them, but you know they're good for you. But you can plug in peak experiences in that where someone has this like crazy, like constant epiphanies as they come in. It's unbelievably powerful. And like the sound table, the Roxiva and the Orinoco really provide that for people. And what's going to happen more is the conversations in there you're going to have peak experience in terms of conversations and the people and the community that's going to develop there. So that's going to be amazing for us. And then the other thing obviously is just like the time, like you touched on there, Flo, like people don't have any time for themselves. So one of the healing things that are actually kind of like health by stealth is like literally someone sitting down for an hour with no responsibility, nothing to do.
That's
sit
healing
there and that's unbelievably healing. Yeah. But the world is just so chaotic right now that
even Boyle.
Yeah.
I mean,
everyone's just so stressed, just busy and nonstop. And when they sit down for, you know, an hour in an oxygen chamber, it's like transformative
to yourself.
Batteries recharge.
And there's no other gift you can give yourself other than that time.
You got to make time for it.
You have to.
Like the top guys who do all this kind of this research on it, like you actually have to schedule in peak experience.
Well, I'm
you have to schedule in rest,
and
all these things, so you know you're going to have these. Otherwise, life just consumes you.
I'm a workaholic, right? I don't go in there enough. I don't use it enough. But I have been. The thing is, the more you do it, the more you realize, I'm gonna. It's a gift to myself. I'm gonna go and do that, and it's. And
I think the more people are realizing as well, the more time they give to themselves in a place like your place, they can be a better person for everyone.
Yeah.
They can be.
It changes a community.
A better parent. They can be just a better person for themselves.
And I think as well, people need to start taking responsibility for their own health too.
Yeah.
And rather than just waiting for health to come to them, go and find it.
Well, waiting for
you're taking action.
Instead of waiting for the body to break down and then need to be fixed, don't ever get to that point.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best thing we could do.
Yeah. And it'd be great as well. I know we touched on this before, Mark, about like if the allopathic side of things could combine so that referrals could be going over, because obviously we need traditional.
No, we're already getting them.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, there are doctors telling
That's
people.
Brilliant.
We had a woman in the other day, and she said, she's got this young teenage lad who's had a lot of issues his whole life, and she went to see this doctor, and she said, well, I've got a list of things here that I think would help. What do you think? And the doctor looked at the list and said, well, definitely do the red light and definitely do the hyperbaric oxygen, because this doesn't get taught to doctors, but doctors with a wide interest in health, it's quite obvious, really. I mean, there's just tons and years of studies, on these things and the benefits of them. You'll get different versions of that, and people will say, don't go into hyperbaric if you've got, occasionally people will suffer with because they've got a sinus block,
right.
And things like that, and that can maybe perforate the ear a little bit if you've got a problem there. But we take a lot of care over that as much as we possibly can. But it is people's responsibility to do the research themselves. We're not pushing anything, we're just providing a place for people to go when they're ready.
And then going forward, guys, have you any other, obviously the spa and all that comes with the spa down on that room, are you going to add any other different treatments or protocols in the future? You are,
yeah. We've got a lot of things we want to add.
Great.
Like we're going to get a bath. Did we talk about that?
Well, the bath will come in. Yeah.
The summited bath will be extraordinary, and people will come from all over the world for that alone. I mean, we've already got 3 or 4 or 5 totally unique things in this country.
Yeah.
There's nobody with the things we've got under one roof in this country at all, right?
That's fact.
There are places that do hyperbaric. There are places that do red light, but all of the things on them, no, we're the only ones, and we want to stay on the cutting edge of that. 100%. That's 100% what our mission is, and we want to open these up all around the world.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of people watching us, and we've got a lot of very famous doctors and holistic and advanced biohackers watching us that supports us. People like Dr. Christiane Northrup in America. She loves what we're doing. We've got it's just so many amazing people that we also want to bring to Boyle to do talks. And we've done a lot of live talks here.
You did one recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a talk on the power of structured water and negative ion. I mean, look, this is free information, right? This is one of the simplest things everybody can do. Distill your water, right? So it's completely clean. Then bring it to life. And if you don't know what that means, go and look up living water and the different states of water. That is just replicating nature. We have a machine that we have in there that you can fill with about 1.5 liters of water, and it creates a vortex in the water and a magnetic field, and it adds hydrogen. When you add hydrogen to water, you're putting negative ions into there. When you're putting negative ions, the effect of negative ions on the blood is instantaneous, and it's like changing the fuel in the engine from crappy diesel to high-end diesel. Suddenly the blood's working properly, and when that's happening, the whole body works properly. And then when you add salt to it, Celtic sea salt is one of the basic things, but we also have a thing called Aloha 7, which has got 70 different minerals in it. And it is the one, I mean, there's a couple of things that I could not live without now, and Aloha 7 is one of them. And that's handmade for us by a guy down in Kerry. And there are more advanced things that people can do. But if I could say anybody to listening to this, even if you never come to our clinic, just sort your water out.
Yeah.
Please sort your water out. What you're drinking, especially, but what you're bathing in as well, if you can. Because even if you're drinking water from a well, and we get this a lot, I drink from a well. Well, the problem is with the wells is that the water coming from a lot of these wells is being run off from the farms, and the farms are using glyphosate and things like that. So you got, if you are drinking, get it checked, get it tested at least. But
know what you're drinking.
But the stuff you're buying from the shops in the big, the bottles, that's not good either. The Evian, the Volvic, but there's been tests done on things like Buxton mineral water, and it's shocking.
They have to irradiate it to stop it going off, and to stop if you get fresh water and just leave it in the sun, it'll go green. That's not bad. It's just, it'll develop. But they say you have to irradiate all the bottled water first. Then they've got all the plastics, which is the phthalates and the hormone disruption.
I mean, that's just as poisonous
so
as
unless you're getting primary water, which is water produced deep in the earth, that comes up, artesianal well, where you're literally seeing it bubbling up, that water you can definitely drink.
Well, actually,
anything else you need to be careful of.
We should talk about that, because the prime water wells in Ireland, there were tens of thousands of them, and the one in Boyle is known as St Patrick's Well, which is literally a 5-minute walk from the centre down the. I was speaking to someone the other day who's the same age as me, lived in Boyle his whole life, and he said, "Do you know, I've never been to that well."
A lot of people have. Yeah,
a lot of people.
But the well is there, right, and it's got a big concrete cross on it, and that was prime water. How far deep down is the prime water, Gary? It's like 20 miles down, isn't it?
Yeah.
So these wells were all over Ireland, and Boyle, that well in Boyle was famous because that water was famous for healing people below the knees. Right?
Yeah.
And people came from all over Ireland to get their legs healed with that water. And it's right on our doorstep, So we're just reigniting a flame that's already been there for thousands of years anyway.
Yeah.
Because people understood the water. They don't anymore. But if you go and look up, there's a great clip from 1971 on RTE when the water system in Ireland, when the villages and towns of Ireland had their water centralised by a centralised water system, and the old people that were on TV being interviewed then were kicking off royally about losing their natural water source. And that's only 50 years ago, but those people are all gone now.
Yeah.
And the people that are, under 50 in Ireland now have grown up with this water, but that's why things like cancer rates are like 60, 70, 80% now. And 100 years ago, it was 1 or 2%. I mean, what's going on there, And people need to understand that disease is really dis-ease.
Yeah.
It's just you're out of balance. Homeostasis, as Gary said, is balance. When you're out of balance is dis-ease. So, everything we're about is trying to create that kind of balance and having fun on the way.
Yeah, and there is so many different protocols. I mean, there's loads of things that we could do and there's loads of technologies. But like I said, they're just a mechanism, a tool to bring people in and to get them into the system. Like there's one cool one that actually will bring in the gym, which is the hypoxic training, which is the opposite of hyperbaric. So hyperbaric is amazingly beneficial, but you do it for a compressed period of time to get oxygen saturation, give your body that drop in inflammation and increase energy levels and mitochondrial function. But you wouldn't do hyperbaric every day because it's 100% oxygen. So then your body would get slightly used to it and then function less well in a 20% oxygen
long
environment.
term. Yeah.
So once you get your effect, then you let it off gas and you have a break from it, and you kind of do it, then plug it in. Every 6 months you do a little protocol. But the hypoxic training is the opposite. And there's a machine that you can do in conjunction with exercise that brings you from like sea level to 20,000 feet.
Makes you more efficient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that makes people into super athletes.
That's what.
And if they put you on the full program, initially you just pass out, but you build the tolerance up. So in terms of human optimization, that's something. The human optimization is where I'd like to go. But ultimately, like we said here, it's uneducated or deprogramming people, or literally it's the consciousness thing that we're interested in developing.
You could see that just for athletes alone.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it'd be huge. It'd be huge.
Yeah. I mean, if all the local sports clubs just came to use what we've got, they'd outperform everybody else straight away.
Yeah.
You get 10, 20% more endurance, strength. I mean, we've also got the Ireland's first hydrogen bar. We mentioned that.
That's right.
So we've got this beautiful rustic furniture above Daly's, overlooking the main, the Bridge Street, and we've got 2 or 3 machines there. One of them creates pure hydrogen, which you can come and just breathe in. When most doctors will agree that most people are dehydrated. Most people think that means they're not drinking enough water. But if you look at the word dehydrated, it's hydrogen that's missing, right? So we have pure hydrogen that people can breathe in and then drink the hydrogen water, and they can sit and read a book or whatever and have a cup of tea. But we've also got a thing called a Brown's gas machine. Brown's gas is, amazing for performance. I mean, Gary's an athletic anyway, and he manages one of the football teams in Boyle. And when he started using it, tell him it was...
Yeah, well, I would work out a good bit and play, like sprint and do a lot of like very physical stuff. And then taking the Brown's gas, which is just essentially charged monatomic hydrogen. So the issue is hydrogen, most abundant, molecular structure in the universe. That's what everything comes from, hydrogen. It's just different. Than bonds create different compounds, different substances. But we're depleted in it, even though it's the most abundant. So normally, what you should get it from your food. And there's an enzyme called dehydrogenase, it breaks up hydrogen. That as you age, you lose function, and that's because you're toxic as well. So you lose the ability of to get hydrogen from your food and then to rejuvenate. So when you breathe it in, it's getting straight into your bloodstream, and your body can then utilize it. And so for me, if I was playing, soccer, like working, like training really hard or playing a game, you'd have that muscle soreness for 2 or 3 or 4 days after it, depending. And then like literally recovery went a day and I was fine. I could play like 2 days later.
Disappeared. So it works whether you're, imagine what it does to somebody who's really ill.
Yeah,
true.
It's giving you the building blocks, and it goes to wherever it's needed.
Yeah, but
so
that one,
Brown's gas is amazing.
But it's you want that one you want to do consistently.
That's why we created the bar.
And then you can take the hydrogen-rich water and take that home with you as well.
Yeah. And it's hard to find information on Brown's gas, isn't it?
That usually means it's good.
Well, yeah. But
so we have the Brown's gas machine, and which does that, and we have one called the Holy Hydrogen machine, which is just hydrogen. And people can go again, like Mark said, go and look at it yourself. We're not going to stand here and tell you exactly what go inform yourself.
Exactly.
It's all out there. everything that we have, you can go and research yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really the empowerment thing that, long term in terms of what the center is going to do is what, we really want to empower people to take control of their health.
Well, I said it to you, Mark, the other day. I said, with all the stuff you're doing with the spa coming and all that, you're going to need your own car park. You're going to need to attach a car park.
Well, that was the annoying thing when they did the bridge and they got rid of those lovely car parking spaces. They were great, but that is possible. Yeah.
Well, around the back, actually, no, the post office, it's not that, they've done that walk, so there actually is loads of parking.
By the river there.
It's a 2-minute walk down. Yeah. We'll work it out,
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of space to park in Boyle at the moment. And, but yeah.
It's a nice walk up by the river anyway.
What we'd really like to do is build a saltwater swimming pool.
Oh, right.
But that's down the line because that's quite a few.
Yeah, there's so many plans, obviously what you want is you want regenerative agriculture feeding into the center, and have that kind of bartering system and have just a closed loop system, energy, food production, water, and everyone is just kind of thriving within that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're overlooking the biggest power source in Boyle. It'd be amazing if we could just get clubbed together as a town and get the turbines that exist now that plug into the bank of the river, power the whole town. We'd be the richest town in Europe.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean,
there's loads we could.
There's enough power in that river.
Yeah,
to power a town 10 times over, and all the houses around it. So, there's just this
whole ecosystem.
There's just common sense stuff that people are realizing. We kind of the wool's been pulled over our eyes for a long time.
Yeah.
It comes. It's the health. It's the energy. It's the finances. It's all people are. They're awake to it. But now they're really kind of looking for it now. And conversations that you had 10 years ago where you go, just disregard it and walk away, whatever. Now they're lean in,
Curious.
Yeah.
Stay there.
What was that again?
Yeah. Well, I think that's it.
That was everything.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off, or any lasting message?
No, well, I would just say, I mean, Boyle is an amazing town.
Yeah.
I mean, I came here 7 years ago, and we're still here, and it's got its issues, but there isn't a phenomenal energy here, and I think people should realize that they're here for a reason and really try and tap into that, and be part of the rejuvenation that's happening in your own body, but also in the area. And, if we can help with that in any way, that's what we're here for.
Fantastic. And what are the chances? Like I was just thinking there, what are the chances the two of you move in on the same street at the same time?
Well, we do have a spiritual perspective on that.
Some things just, align.
Serendipity. There are no coincidences.
Yeah. And any message from you, Mark? Any lasting message? Or?
Well, I would just like to thank everybody that's supported some people don't like what we're doing, and but the ones that have supported us so far, we're extremely grateful. And if you're inspired by anything we've said and you do the research and you come in, we'll welcome you with open arms and share the word, really, because and if you're listening to this from afar and you want to open one yourself, there's a page on the website called Partner With Us. The link's at the bottom of the website, which explains the bigger picture potential of this idea. But even if we stay as one place in Boyle, I'm extremely proud of it every single day, because running something like this with a higher purpose is the greatest gift, and I'm very, very proud of that. And
great work.
And we're very grateful to you for talking to us today.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks very much.
We want to say thanks for choosing Boyle.
It chose us.
Well, it chose you maybe, but we're blessed to have such
on our doorstep.
On our doorstep.
And something like that is huge.
And the people that will attract will do amazing things for the town.
Well, we hope so.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And
so welcome.
Anyone that's listening, the first step is to go to the website, download the form.
No, just fill the form.
Fill out the form, and someone will be in touch, and your journey starts there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.